So we are starting building a puzzle. We have this large new network for pedestrians within the city on the way. I think we will have completed the project by the end of next May. And that's something very, very good for us. But it's not the project that I admire. It's the change of the attitude of the people.
Welcome to Smart in the City, the Babel podcast. I am your host, Tamlin Shimizu, and really at Babel, we aim to connect the players in the smart city industry with high quality information and ideas through our platform and services. This podcast is really an extension of this goal and mission to drive the change for a better urban life. So today on the journey, I have with us a wonderful vice mayor here in Athens, Greece. It's beautifully, mostly sunny, I should say. And I have with us Yannis Anastasakis.
You did well. Okay.
I did my best with the names. So welcome to the Babel podcast.
It's good to be here. Thank you for the invitation.
Yeah, our pleasure. So to start us off, I would like to do a little icebreaker, I suppose. So I wonder if you can tell me maybe one thing most people don't know about Greece.
One thing most people don't know about Greece.
There's a lot of stereotypes about Greece,
okay.
you know?
I will tell you that we are very hardworking people.
Yeah.
Everyone thinks that we have the sea and the sun and the good food, some folklore music, and we just work 2 or 3 hours per day the most. No, it's not true. Most people work very hard, and the last decade was very difficult for us because we had a major change in the society because of the financial problems. But I think now that after we hit the bottom, the only way is up. And we are feeling much more confident. Most of the problems are behind us, and the future seems a bit brighter.
Good. And can you think of anything? So I think you've been around Heraklion a lot, yes. But I'm guessing that
always walking. You see,
always working hard.
Someone that holds his head, and he is always troubled, and that's me.
Okay.
I walk around 10 to 11 kilometers per day.
Wow.
For work. I have decided to leave the car outside the Venetian walls that are the borderline of the old city. Mm-hmm. And I visit all the projects on foot.
By foot, yeah, yes, wow.
Yes. People see me,
mobility.
They stop me. Okay, This is the idea. I can see the real situation of the city. I feel the vibe of the people. It doesn't matter if you feel that you are admired or your work is well esteemed from the society. When you get door to door, you get a real pulse. I can tell you that the society is split. Some say very good things about our works. Some highlight the things that need to be done, because Heraklion is a difficult city. Mm-hmm. It's a city under transformation. Okay, yeah. And what kind of transformations? I will give you an idea about how Heraklion looked like 20 years ago. The stereotype, close to reality, I would say, is that it was the most ugly city in Greece. Okay? That has an explanation. It had a sudden development, financial development. Many people rushed to inhabit Heraklion. No urban planning, no building licenses. And we had a chaotic situation with lack in infrastructure and too many people gathering like a flood. We had very few monuments still standing from the ancient times, with two landmarks. The most well-preserved fortification in the East Mediterranean, the Venetian Walls, the borderline of the old city, and Knossos. You know the Knossos from the Minoan civilization. And we had to make something happen to improve our city. I think the main reason that everything started changing was the Olympic Games. Because although they took place in Athens mainly, some other cities were selected and Heraklion was included. So some big infrastructure projects took place, and it was the triggering of the total change of the city. So many renovations, the rehabilitation of public buildings, and the upgrade of the infrastructure took place. And I don't think there is another city with such a dramatic change in the last 20 years.
Wow.
So,
in Greece or in the world?
Okay.
In Greece.
In Greece,
Yeah.
in Greece, okay. I will try to be
In the
modest
galaxy.
in the galaxy. It could be.
Yeah.
It could be. So we are happy that we see that we have found a good pace, and things are always to the better, are always changing to the better.
You touched on the walls, and we've spoken about it previously a little bit. Is that the project that you're most proud of, or would you?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
This is my baby project because it's one big monument, 35 hectares, that could play a multiple role. The biggest green area in the municipality, a landmark that could attract tourist interest.
Yeah.
One of the civilizations. We have 5 plus 1. The one is the current one. The one refers to the Venetian period. Very important for us. So I think it's something that we could invest in. And it could reshape the city in terms of everyday life. And people and the small children, because we have built some very large playgrounds within the walls, are already enjoying it. We want to bring life with some tourist cafes on the monument, artistic events, big concerts, excursions, exhibitions, and even things that have to do with athletic events, respecting, of course, the character of the area, but still everything is possible. And I'm very happy because we exploited every funding opportunity from EU, and we have 15 million euros of projects on the way for the monument. The main idea is to bring the open spaces closer to the people. It's safe to run, jog, take a bike tour in almost 3.5 kilometers long distance that you can see the city from the top of this monument, because it's so large that you are about 20 meters higher than the city level. Yeah. So you can see the city, you can see the sea in the north, and you can see the mainland. If you look at the southern part, the biggest mountain of the area, and we dedicate every open space on the walls to a different story, to the people, to the music, to the people of the mainland, to the relationship of the historic relationship of the city with the sea, to the great author Nikos Kazantzakis, who was buried on these walls. And you can see the landmark, a smaller landmark on the landmark, his tomb. And you can see the sign, I don't hope for anything. Mm-hmm. I am not afraid of anything. Therefore, I'm free. So
that's beautiful.
It's very beautiful and very strong.
I want to come visit
concentrated.
now.
Yes, you are invited.
Yeah, thank you.
So the one story is to give the open space to the people. There is a belt outside the city walls at the city level that was left intentionally blank. No trees, nothing. For defensive reasons. Because they wanted to see the guards if someone was approaching and they could aim on him, no place to hide. And we are trying to give multiple uses at this belt that circulates the wall. It's part of the monument, actually. And we thought that the best thing to do is to bring the children closer to the monument. So we have places dedicated for tennis, basketball, for running, and some major playgrounds that refer to the fortification. It's not simple playgrounds. You can see castles. It's an adventure for the children. Ropes. And we make them feel like they are trying to conquer the Venetian walls.
Power to the children.
Yes,
Yeah.
of course. And we have 3 problematic areas that need restoration, and those are different projects that are all already on the way. We don't want to have those kind of problems, because if the monument is not safe, you can't talk about exploitation. And the last thing is to give specific uses in the closed areas of the walls, because there were gates that allowed the communication of the castle with the outside world. So we give specific use. The larger gate will be dedicated to the history of the walls and the city of Heraklion, and another smaller one that was used, unfortunately, as a place where the Germans put the prisoners during the World War II. We will make it a monument, a museum of the resistance of the Cretans. And it's an intense feeling when you are there, because you can hear people screaming and be tortured.
Yeah.
Nothing goes away.
But you're bringing really the dynamic, right, of the intense parts of history, together with really also the joy of the children on one aspect. And
that's true. I never thought of that, but you are so right. The contrast.
Yeah.
And this is the evolution of our species, the way we survive.
Mm-hmm.
We leave that behind without forgetting, but we are putting our hopes on our children.
Yeah.
Providing them with some memories and some good prospects.
Yeah. Yeah, that's beautiful. And so I guess to do a project like this, it takes a great deal of obviously planning and collaboration between different parties. Can you talk a bit about that process?
The first experience was very bad, because we had broke our relationship with the archaeological authorities. They were thinking that the municipality is not doing a good job. Concerning that monument, they weren't very just, to be honest. So the first thing that me and the mayor did is visiting the Ministry of Culture. Mm-hmm. And we had 6 hours talking with the board of the ministry to convince them that we have good intentions and that they should give us a chance to make the master plan, to materialize the master plan that we had planned for the Venetian Walls. Not an easy task.
Yeah.
We had to swallow a lot of insults and leave them behind to focus on the main target, that was to bring the Venetian walls to the city to the life of the people.
Yeah.
There is a motto that we want to accompany our effort. We want to change from the city with walls to the walls city. Mm-hmm. We want this monument to define the city of Heraklion, because it's so important for us, and it wasn't logical that this thing was not part of the inhabitants. I was 18 years old, and I had been there only twice without actually knowing what this monument was for. Yeah. And now I have embraced all these opportunities, and I feel very proud, because that is the baseline, the foundation of the whole development that we are dreaming for the city. And it has an environmental factor also, very difficult one, because there is space to plant it with big trees, with various local greens and herbs. But we need water, and there's a water scarcity in Heraklion. So we are discussing with the local university how to bring the treatment of the waste that is nearby to irrigate the Venetian walls and other green areas in Heraklion. That allows us circular economy, to have more intense planting, and we are thinking of creating an open school of history and of green things, so that we could tell the children what the Cretan nature is, along with the history. And it's very interesting, because the line development of the park allows you to create a story. It's good for storytelling. Mm-hmm. That happened during that era, and what you see walking from one part of the monument to the other is those kind of hairs, those kind of things that grow in Crete only. And it's interesting because it would be boring and maybe heavy talking only about history, but now it will be music, games, some green things, and we'll make it more joyful.
Something for everyone.
Something for everyone.
Yeah. And what recommendation, I guess, would you make to both mayors or maybe project managers or anybody working in the city level if they wanted to do a similar type of project? Maybe something you've learned along the way.
I'm sure that everywhere it's difficult to make a big project happen, but in Greece it's much more difficult for specific reasons. It's not unusual to break the line, the continuous scene in political scale. Mm-hmm. The next mayor doesn't usually adapt the ideas of the previous one, but there is a paradox. Big projects need more time than one term. Yeah. 4 years or 4.5 are not enough. So you need to invest on someone's work. We had the luck to be re-elected, and me personally, I am very lucky because I am at the same position for 6 years straight. Mm-hmm. That has never happened before. The same vice mayor dedicated to a specific sector. But I could build on my own experiences and mistakes. I have learned and I had enough time to correct my mistakes, trial and error procedures, find the good recipe with all these people, the engineers, the controlling authorities, to find money, because if you want to execute such a complicated project that needs much funding, you need to be patient and exploit every penny. EU funds, your own funds. We will break the stereotype to bring private sector's funds on the monument. That's a difficult story. Mm-hmm. The ministry is very, very skeptical in bringing the private sector because they are right in some cases. There was misuse and misconduct from companies that were working close to the monument. So one needs to be patient. One needs to go 2 steps back to give space to other people, to other authorities. Mm-hmm. I think that we need to be in peace with everyone in order to achieve something complicated. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, there's no solution.
Yeah, that's good advice.
And that was very difficult for me as a personality because I was very intense. Yeah. And when you know you are right and you are very hardworking and you have such a vision, you have the anxiety to bring it to the people soon, but that's not wise. Yeah. You need to leave things mature and not have the anxiety to do it in your own term. Mm-hmm. You invest because you want to serve the common good. You need to be honest with that. I'm this mentality. Yeah. Okay, and I'm not praising myself, but that was true. Not in the beginning. The mayor inspired me because he's almost 70-year-old, very wise and experienced. And I saw that he was very, very, very patient with things. He didn't respond in first time. He always gave some time for things to mature and to settle down. Yeah. So I tried to bring this recipe, this way of thinking and acting in my own lifestyle and way of thinking. I'm very, very intense. And I think it's somewhere in the middle. Yeah, that's a good lesson to learn. And I think I'm also quite, I want to do things fast sometimes, and I have to also take that lesson to heart as well. Now I would go on to a little segment that we have. Mm-hmm. It's actually a new one that I want to try because I feel like you can handle it. So it's called Flip the Script. And now, I've been asking you many questions, and you've done a really nice way of showing and explaining your vision. So can you now, I guess, ask me a question and then put me on the spot? So. Of course. Mm-hmm. Can you give me some basic advantages and disadvantages in living in a more organized city? Because, of course, Germany is a much more developed country, having solved most of the problems in terms of infrastructure. But still, the climate crisis, the floods, the overheating, the forests that are burning concern also developed countries. You can see Australia, Germany, people are losing their lives. So maybe we should be more modest about what we have achieved.
Yeah. I would say that, with Germany, I don't even claim really that we've solved many of these problems. For example, in the field of mobility, Germans, it's really this mindset thing as well. I think it's quite a challenge in many places in Germany to say,
change the mindset.
Change the mindset. So this is really something that we see across the board, no matter what society, it comes down to this mindset of people. And I think no matter what kind of structure you have, it really comes down to working with the people and seeing what they really need and going down to the really base of that. So there
are still things to be done in terms of mentality.
Still things to be done. And then I guess with the differences that I see between cultures also in these more structured societies versus a bit more chaotic. Sure, it's a bit more chaotic here sometimes, but you also have a lot of community and a lot of community spirit behind that chaos. I see it. So with these more structured ways of society, I see it as being quite closed off communities in many places where there's walls up between the houses and there's walls up in the community.
I can give you a recent example. I don't know if you heard, but there is an earthquake sequence on the way in Heraklion since October for 2 months in a row and maybe more. And we had more than 1,000 houses and structures damaged, some completely. And a complete area is the area where the new international airport is being built as we speak, is located there. People all around Crete and from Heraklion send aid kits, food, blankets, clothes, so many that there was not enough space to store it.
Yeah.
The response of the society in terms of emergency is something that you can only admire. The same thing happened last summer with the big burning forests in Evia. And the same was some years ago during a flood in Mandra. And again, some years ago, in every natural disaster, the society has a reflex, automated, because they don't trust, they didn't used to trust the state. Because we are not very organized, so we have to put our own effort to save ourselves. Okay?
Yeah, exactly. Like in these more structured societies, they say, okay, the government's going to help. I don't need to give, that's a generalization. I think when we had the big floods in Germany as well, plenty of people also pitched in. And I know that there was a fair amount of community efforts as well, but I think it's these not so extremes, but still you can see the differences.
To give you the optimist development of this stereotype, we have learned so much from the last natural disasters that the response of the state itself is perfect. They are quick, they give money, they set up the tents, doctors, psychologists, everyone is in place within some days.
Yeah. Wow.
So we are improving, of course, and the Secretaries General of that used to be the ranking of the official dealing with natural disaster is a minister now. They have upgraded the way the state sees natural disasters. So maybe some things are delayed in Greece, but of course we are on the same path and we are gaining the lost ground because the new technology that we can adapt helps us work like a spring. Now we are developing with 7-8% per year after the memorandum years. So we can adjust. That's one characteristic for the Greeks. They adjust, they adapt.
Yeah.
And they are very, very resilient people. We have suffered from many different things. I can't think of another nation that would be under slavery for 400 years and come out of that as a united nation.
Yeah, it's a difficult thing to do. Yeah. And so I guess we ask every single person that comes on here this question. And it is, of course, a super varied answer, which I love. So to you, what is a smart city?
What is a smart city? I will be honest with you. Heraklion is considered to be one of the smart cities of Europe. We have achieved that the last 10 years maybe. Practically, for the residents of Heraklion, this is not true. So I would consider smart a city that would make the life of the specific neighborhood easier and safer. All the other things, sensors, Wi-Fi, I don't care about that. I want my city safer and more practical for the simple people.
Yeah, for everyone.
For everyone.
Yeah.
So maybe we have started well and we know the terms and we have done some concrete steps towards being a smart city. But as long as we don't provide this service, this smartness to the simple person, the simple resident, the old woman in Heraklion, I will not say that we are a smart city.
Yeah, and there's a spectrum, right? So you could say, okay, this is a smart city. No, this is not a smart city. You can't really say that. It's on quite a spectrum, right? So
okay, I understand.
Yeah, but no, I totally agree with that. That it really comes down to, are you making the lives of the citizens better and easier?
I would like my smart city to send automated messages in case of an emergency.
Yeah,
that has been a legacy of the state. We are receiving messages the first second that something happens.
Yeah.
Okay, that's
smart.
Because of COVID. That's because of the natural disasters. I want my city to do that also.
Yeah.
Okay, today the heat is excessive, so the flood is coming. One simple thing, that's smart, and that affects your everyday decisions.
Yeah.
What to wear, where to go, where not to go. I want my smart city being able to give an alternative when something happens, when a problem arises. Now, the earthquake that took place in another municipality created 2 million euros of damages in schools for me. And I have more than 5 schools closed. They're not working, they're not operating. I didn't have an alternative to provide to the children. So if we really was a smart city, we would have a backup plan, a school waiting to operate in case of an emergency. We are building one with prefabricated structures, and we'll keep it there even when a natural disaster is not happening, because it will happen. So
you always need a backup plan.
Yes, we need a backup school, a complete school with all this infrastructure. So that's something that we learn now. My city, to be smart, I want to give alternative ways of moving to the people.
Yeah.
Okay? It's not easy because we are trying to combine different and maybe contradicting interests. The shop owner, the taxi driver, the bus driver, the bicycle guy, the one that runs, that jogs, the disabled. It's chaotic because we have so much limited space, very limited public space. So my directions to the designers is, if it's too narrow, make it either a pedestrian route or a one-way route, because there is not enough space to create big pavements, dedicated bicycle or bus lanes, along with two-way routes. We are not living in such a good city planning city. Okay?
Yeah.
So out of the box and radical decisions. What can I say? I need my smart city to help me.
Yeah, it's a good answer. So, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me today about everything to do with urban planning, mobility, and resilience. I really appreciate it.
It was very good to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. Our pleasure. And to all of our listeners, now you know definitely not to miss the Venetian Walls of Heraklion if you're ever there traveling or working in Greece. And if you want to learn more about projects and real-life implementations in smart cities in Europe and beyond, you can find more information on babel-smartcities.eu and become part of our community by signing up for free. Thank you all for listening. I'll see you at the next stop on the journey to a better urban life. I Googled something about Greece. How many islands are there in Greece?
Oh.
You know?
Numerous, I think.
A lot.
A lot.